Got an artificial septum to cut his nose out and then carved it all up. And I don't know if you can see that or not in there, but place it, glue it on the inside and then the nose back on. This is a book animal. Yeah, Tim Edwards in Weaverville got this and got it drawn last year. Lucky guy. Very nice set of antlers, very uniform. Using a template to help get the angle of the eye correct. I'm going to pre-fit these. A little bit of clay in the back of this. I don't have a spare set of eyes for this elk, and that would really hold me up when I'm right in the middle of the project. So I want to make sure that if something happens and one of these falls out of my hand, I want to make sure that it's going to land on something soft. Very roughed in. Fingers now. I'm going to come back with up here is just a guide tool that helps to see if the accuracy of the eye is correct, how it's laid out in there. So I'm going to place this against the eye. I'm going to bring in some more clay. Okay, I think I got my eyes where I want them. I'm going to put some tools out of the way and then we're going to get ready to start gluing them up. The antlers on afterwards. If I turn this elk up like this, I'm able to drop the skin on and let gravity help me with it. So make it a little bit easier for me to put the cape on there. So I'm going to put some glue on this. I don't want to glue the whole thing. I'm going to roll the skin back and do some of that lower section after I get this first half on. So I don't like to risk getting glue on the fur. Okay, I've left an area right here for that incision. I don't want to get glue too close up in there. If I don't leave enough, it's harder to get down in there. And I'll roll the skin back up after we're done getting on there. So there's just a slight incision from the to get the antlers out here, and then the rest has been tubed. So I'm going to carefully might be blocking the view just a little bit here while I get this on. take the pin and put it in place, and we're going to start the mounting process. At this point, we're going to, I roll back the skin, I'm going to put the rest of the hide paste in, and then I'm going to kind of pin things a little bit in place, just to hold things where I want, and then we will attach the antlers and continue with the mounting process. Here's what I want to make sure that I'm lined up with the center and pull this. And don't want to get hide paste. You can wash this out with water, but it's kind of a pain in the rear when you have to deal with it after the fact. Check my eyes. Alright. I'll make sure this is centered up. I don't have to put too much here yet. Alright. Flip it over. Time to get the antlers on. Once that's done, we're on the home stretch. So we got the antlers bolted in now, and I'm going to test to make sure that that back tine doesn't hit the wall. It's very close, but this is a big set of antlers, and it's got a slight left turn to this, so it's going to put that one antler into the wall more, but I believe we've spaced it correctly and got it. So now we're going to start pinning up the face as soon as we get that head in position. Start working the nose. Believe it or not, that was the only stitch we needed. We have him across here and then down this entire thing, and we will never know where that stitch is when this is all finished, and we didn't have to stitch anything up the back. Believe it or not, that was the only stitch we needed. We have him across here and then down this entire thing, and we will never know where that stitch is when this is all finished, and we didn't have to stitch anything up the back. So all done sewing. Put this guy back up. This, I'm going to adjust the ears and this thing. I gotta pull this back. Gotta lock it in tight, and these things want to move real easy. They're so heavy. All right, so make sure. I'm going to be coming in when I'm all done and epoxying around, putting epoxy glue around these antlers so they don't pull out. I don't want them coming apart, so I'm going to make sure that I have plenty of slack up in and around here available to me. I just kind of work the ears here in position. Okay, so what I want to do is start by getting the corner of this eye right where it needs to be. Now it's torn a little bit, so it's going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to tuck this here. You cannot just place an eye and expect that it's going to stay there. You got to watch it over a couple of days as it's drying. It's really too damp to do too much with, and every time you put a tool to it, it tends to kind of mash things down. So the best thing is to just get things pretty close in place where you want them. I'm going to put this lower jaw in. I'm going to put a little bit of clay in here. So what this cellophane is going to do is hold that skin right up against the septum inside, and when I've got glue in there, so it'll dry right up against that and create that inner nostril look that we want. We're going to let this dry now for a few days. We'll pull the pins. Got him pretty much where we want him. Ears back a little bit so we can show off the antlers and make those the focal point. Pretty relaxed. This is a Mod Podge that I'm putting on here, and it's just it helps to build up some of that shrinkage from the nose. When it dries, we'll just paint right over it. This will settle down as it dries. Shrinks just a little bit. These nodules and stuff. So we're just doing some of the finishing touch-ups, filling the eyes with epoxy and Sculpol and the nose, and I've got this is drying up pretty quick. It looks white, but it'll dry clear, and this is just a Mod Podge that helps to build up, because this nose tends to shrink a little bit, even on deer. You build that up, it builds a layer that's kind of lost in the drying process, and then when you paint over it, it makes it fuller, it looks fuller. So it's definitely makes a big difference in those noses looking more realistic. So we're getting close to finishing this elk. I will be painting it next, and then touch up on the eyes and nose, and a little touch up on the antlers, and the customer gets their nice prized bull elk. One of the things I'm doing now is putting it's kind of it may look white on the camera, but it's actually a gray, kind of a grayish white. And I use this as a base coat to kind of create a canvas. What happens when these animals come back from the tannery and they dry is they have uneven tones, so it helps start everything clean and the same color at its base, like a fresh canvas. Another thing it does, like when I do these ears, it shows up any holes that I have, pinholes or anything I may have missed, so that allows me to go back and make sure I've got those filled. And then from there I start working with my other colors and layering with powder paints and airbrush paints to come up with the depth and the layered colors that I want. How about this white? I'm going to add a little Payne's Gray. It's a powder pigment, and I'm going to just kind of work it in here, the nose. Now once I shoot this over with another paint or anything that's got a liquid base or lacquer base, it's going to activate this. So powder paints are things you can, if you make a mistake, you can just kind of blow it off and wipe it down, remove it, start over. And I'll mix other powder paints with this as I move along. The next piece I'm putting in is just, before I go with the darker Payne's Gray, I'm actually putting in some flesh color, which is really just a cosmetic powder that women use for makeup. And I go around and highlight kind of the fleshy areas right inside the nose, and add this eye a little bit here. Okay, that's about all I'm going to do with that, and then I'm going to move on to it's a darker shade of Payne's Gray. I'm going to hit the nose a little bit more with this. Kind of dab it on there. I'm adding, it's kind of a brown pigment. These are a pan pastel. And I just dab it on there where I want it. It's going to add some more highlights and depth to it. And I'll take a brush and work it in. Also working it around the eye. Brushing now, I'm just cleaning off some residue around. So just brush right off the fur. A little lighter color in the very corner of the eyes, and we'll be all done. Finished mount in the eyes, nose. Let me put linseed oil on the antlers. Alright, here we are. Time to deliver Tim's elk. Tim Edwards. This is our finished animal. Alright, off we go.
My goodness.
Stand up there by him, please.
Oh, he's beautiful. Yeah,
It is beautiful.
beautiful.
Get all the blood off him. That's pretty good.
There is that. Oh, man. You did a great
Yeah, it's probably gonna end up hanging like right there.
Yeah.
Grab him.
If you want, yeah, just you just tip it this way a little bit. And,
Like,
Come on, man.
there we go.
Look it from the front, then it'll look like
Yeah.
he's getting on the camera there.
all right, no secret. You don't have to divulge any secret locations or anything like that.
I think if you went inside of it, it would cover you. The whole thing. Like if you, I think if you went inside of it. Wow. He's beautiful.